Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Coach Powell Training Developments live with Coach Powell, Coffee, Tea, You, and Me. Today's session is a special session. Number one, it's a pre-recorded session. So if you're watching this session, we already pre-recorded this and you're getting a chance to check the recording out. But that doesn't mean that we're not going to still do the engagement and the opportunities that we have for everyone to share, to develop, to train, and move themselves forward. I'd like to welcome you to the show today, and hopefully you will be able to participate and grow with us as we move forward. Today's program is literally all about the continuation of a conversation that I've been having, it seems like, for my entire life. But for this series, we're talking about how you can develop your own advisory council or your own hero council. How do you get the people around you to jump on board and be a part of your success? And how do you create such a success that people who even have skills and resources that you don't have to jump on board with you? This is called developing your own hero council. You can become your own Nick Fury. You can assemble your own team of heroes that will come to your aid and rescue you or create opportunities for you that you simply cannot create for yourself. Now, we've talked about the various lessons that you can learn, the various opportunities you can have from developing your hero council. But today we're going to talk about a special aspect of those lessons. And one of those aspects is involving your performance communication. Really, how do you talk about your performance as a leader? How do you develop your performance as a leader via communications? These are very important aspects of your development and your professional development and your team's professional development that can only happen if you have assembled the right group of people, the right team of people around you to help you solve this problem. Now, we're going to talk about how you incentivize those people at later episodes. But today's episode, I want to just talk to you about the power of a good communication strategy. And I want to tell you I want to show you how you can develop that skill, that power, and then how can you deploy that skill and that power in a meaningful, powerful way. Okay, so let's deal with it. Let's deal with a couple ideas and concepts really quickly. The first idea I want to share with you comes from a quote from Harold Jeanin, who says, "Leadership cannot be taught. It can only be learned." Your communication as a leader is something that you have to practice, that you have to test, that you have to continue to get feedback and develop. And it's something that can't be done well overnight. It has to be a constant back and forth and a continuation of learning how to develop a communication strategy that has influence, develop a communication strategy that has power. And so in order for you to do this, you have to have a backdrop. You have to have people to practice on. You have to have people to share and develop and help you hone even how you communicate to your shareholders, to your high-level clients, to the community of people that you work with in terms of your peers and associates on your team, as well as people who work for you, people who you employ and make sure they have livelihoods and so on and so forth. How you communicate to them makes a huge difference in your ability to be successful at whatever you do, whether you're in corporate America or whether you're in small business America or whether you're in leadership. It doesn't matter. You have to be able to communicate effectively. And your best way to learn how to communicate effectively is to work with others who've already mastered this particular skill, right? And to be able to do that consistently and conveniently, right? So that's rule number one. You got to learn. You got to understand that you can't just learn this by reading a book. You're going to have to really dig deep and build high quality professional relationships. Number two, I want to talk to you again today about another concept that comes from, again, a quote from Mr. Christopher Morley, who says, "There's only one rule for being a good talker. Learn to listen." There's only one rule for being a good talker. Learn to listen. Let me say that again. Learn to listen. Now, you may think this is easy. All I have to do is pay attention. All I have to do is listen, right? Easy, right? Not so easy, especially for people who don't have good executive function, right? Learning to listen is not just a thing that you do, it's a thing you learn to do. Again, through practice, through repetition, through strategy, through technique. You have to know how to listen in a way that is going to help you generate the kinds of data resources and analysis you need, as well as the kinds of relationships that you're going to need to move yourself forward. Now, here's why I talked to this in two different camps, right? Listening on one end helps you get the information that you need in order to make decisions, which is truly powerful, right? I don't want you to understand. I don't want you to shortcut this. You have to make good decisions. Every moment of your life is an opportunity to make a decision, and those decisions have to be good quality decisions. That good quality decisions may be based on good quality information. In order to get that good quality information, you have to be able to pay attention. I'll come back to that word in a minute. Pay attention, right? But on the flip side of listening, it's not just gathering information, it's also gathering what I call social capital. And what do I mean by that? When people feel understood because you listen to them correctly, they have no choice emotionally but to begin to develop a connection to you. And so when you talk to people and you hear them and you reflect back to them what you've heard them in a way that helps them understand that you understand them, you just haven't just listened to them. You're not just hearing. It's not just a function of hearing. It's a function of cognitive processing and understanding what's being said, what's being shared, what's being offered, right, from another person. That person is going to be awed and amazed at your ability to help them feel understood. Now, when a person feels understood, again, there's no getting around the science here. They feel relevant, they feel meaningful, and they feel a lot more comfortable with whatever happens next in this relationship. So if you are listening to people who you have no intention of building a relationship with, be careful out there. I'm going to let you know that, because as a professional relationship development expert, I'm telling you, you cannot pay attention to people in the wrong way for the wrong reasons, because that's going to come back to bite you. Because people are going to feel like they are basically in love with you. They're going to feel like that there's a connection with you there that's not really there. You cannot fake this. You need to authentically care enough to actually pay attention to someone else. And especially that someone, if you want to have them give you the benefit of their best advice, have them share their resources or their connections with you, you're going to have to listen to them, and listen to them for understanding, not for manipulation, not for control, but possibly for influence, right? So you definitely want to have them feel like you understand them and understand how special they are. That's a whole different level. We'll get to that at some other time. But I want you to understand that here's why this is important. Because according to a McKinsey survey of over 1,200 global leaders a while back ago, inefficient decision-making cost a typical Fortune 500 company about 530,000 days of managerial time every year. This equates to about $250 million in annual wages. Now, I want you to think about this. This is what happened. This is what's happening in corporations who have tons of resources available to help manage their teams and create opportunities for people and help them grow and associate with one another. Corporations have all these advantages at their fingertips that they can take advantage of. What do you think happens to small businesses who don't have the capacity nor the ability to capitalize on the social aspects of the business that they need to capitalize on in order to create better development, opportunities to strategize, create more innovation and development opportunities? I mean, how you understand what I'm saying? This has become, if this is a $250 million problem in the corporate world, it's got to be a $3 billion problem in the small business world, and they can't afford that problem. This is one of the reasons why small business leaders, basically give up. They can't really communicate their message correctly to the right people at the right time in the right way, and it doesn't have that stickiness that it needs to have in order to that connective tissue in order for things to move forward. And it can't do it with a level of care and consciousness, and at the same time run the business. Or they get caught in some rabbit hole. I got to focus on accounting. I don't have time for my people. I got to focus on marketing now. I don't have time for my people. I got to focus on blah, blah, blah. I don't have time for my people. If you don't take the time to communicate effectively with your people, whether your people are your advisory council, which we're talking about today, or your peers, or the people that are working beneath you in the organization, you're going to set yourself up for failure. I can't say this more. And what we find out is that when people understand how to develop the kinds of leadership conversations that matter, they can benefit, and their decision making can benefit in many, many ways. The first way that your decisions are going to benefit is from the expertise and the experience of others. When you can communicate your story effectively, and other people can communicate, and you allow, through your listening skills and your reflection skills and your questioning, right, investigation and all that kind of good stuff, you begin to help people explain their expertise and their talent. There begins to be a connection, a bond, because people can then see, all right, you bring something to the table, I bring something to the table. We know we bring to the table. We begin to trust each other to bring whatever resources and talents we have for the betterment of both of us to the table. Now, all of a sudden, we can benefit from the experience and the expertise that people have. All the barriers come down from trust and all that kind of stuff. You just start to develop that at a maximum level because people are being authentic, they're being genuine, they're actually communicating in a way that people need to be communicated to. Again, communication is a super, super special skill. You have to learn how to develop it. You have to learn how to tell great stories. You have to learn how to tell different kinds of stories to different kinds of people for different reasons to create a different type of, reality for yourself and for them. It's all in the story that they tell themselves, the story you tell yourself, the story you tell others, and that the others tell others. All those that's effective ways of understanding. Or ineffective ways of understanding communication, right? If you can't tell great stories, it's really not going to work for you, and you're going to have to learn the process of telling great stories. I have a program that I developed, if anybody's interested, called the 5 Levels of Communication. It's really all about the strategies that you need to use to tell great stories and to be there and do that really, really well. So if anybody's interested in that, definitely ask me for it, and I will give it to you in the direct message or something like that. If you're watching this on YouTube, on Facebook, on LinkedIn, you can get to that content. This is stuff that we create all the time. I create content for the fun of it. And so it's super, super important for me to help people understand that communication is the key to developing relationships. If you can't communicate, you can't develop relationships. And developing relationships is the key to everything. It really is. It's a skill. It's a basic human skill that's a lost art that most of us haven't really been trained really well on or nor practice on. And so that's what I bring to the table for my clients and for people that I get to work with, is to teaching them how to develop and execute on fantastic, phenomenal relationships. So the first thing you're able to do when you can communicate effectively with your hero council is you can avail of yourself of their expertise and their experiences. So you don't have to repeat the same mistakes that they may have repeated, and you don't have to wait for opportunities to happen because you don't have the expertise. You already have the expertise. Now you're just tapping in to the expertise, right? Super, super important. Number 2, after you've developed, understand how to develop expertise and experience through your communication strategy, the next thing your communication strategy can do for you is help you really develop a diverse perspective. I can't tell you how important this is. If you can't see other ways to come at your market, if you can't see other directions that you might want to think about exploiting a sub-market or a sub-market or a sub-niche in your market, then you're going to be missing opportunities that might be easy for you to obtain. All you have to do is open up your perspective, open up your mind to a different perspective, and really begin to embrace those different perspectives on the thing that you care about the most. If you're talking to every group of people the same way all the time, then I guarantee you're not taking advantage of the diversity that literally could be right in front of you. Because every person is an individual, you have to figure out how to customize your language and your communication strategy to certain groups of people so that you can effectively develop and maintain the kinds of relationships you need to maintain with those segments of the marketplace. As a business leader, as a leader, period, if you're not good at opening your mind up to different cultures, different age groups, different ethnicities, different abilities, when it comes to the neurodiversity of the workplace and so on and so forth, you have to know that a person who doesn't have an affect, right? They don't have, they can't deliver the social cues to you non-verbally because of how they process information in their brain. That doesn't mean they're not good at what they do, or whatever. They just can't communicate that nonverbal communication that you're used to. So you have to learn other ways that they might be communicating to you that they're happy, they're sad, this is working for them, they understand it, they don't understand it. And that's work that you can do by just asking them, what am I looking for when I see satisfaction and happiness and joy in you? What does that look like? How does that show up in you so that I can recognize it for what it is? When I see something that's not working for you, I can also recognize that when you're highly stressed, what do you do? Or when you are feeling sad or like overwhelmed, how does that show up in your world? So I can recognize it as a leader, as an associate, as a person who's even working for you. Your level of communication, your ability to communicate and be open to those conversations where there's differences that you don't quite understand. Being open to those conversations makes you a much better leader. Makes you a much better communicator because you know how to customize what you're saying to the person that's listening, so that they feel like they understand you, and by extension feeling understood by you, because now you're sharing information and messages in a way that work for them. And they feel special because now they understand what you're saying, and they're noticing that you've thrown in this particular slide because it helps them with their visual acuity, right? They've noticed that you've changed the pace of how you communicate, or the questions that you may ask to help them engage their brain, or whatever it is you're doing. Versus with your communication strategy, and it comes through being willing and open to getting diverse perspective. And this is key, because once you can develop that diverse perspective, you can figure out, and your team can figure out, how to exploit opportunities that you might not be able to see yourself, right? Everybody wants to have a good company strategy to exploit markets that other people kind of ignore or don't know how to get to, because they're just not open to the various diversity perspectives, right? They don't understand the rules, they don't understand the strategy. And I will promise you that your communication technique will open you up, if you do it right, to various different aspects, and help you to do the thing that you need to do. What I love most, and this is number 3, what I love most about really developing a good, competent communication strategy that is comprehensive and works for various segments of the marketplace that's important for me to work for, whether that person is an employee or a company leader or whatever I'm doing, is this: I get to have the best advice. I get to have the best, most objective advice, because people feel comfortable sharing and giving me the feedback because I ask for it on a regular, consistent basis. I'm asking people, especially people in my advisory council or my hero council, right? I'm asking them for their perspective on everything that I'm doing. I'm sharing with them everything that I'm doing. I'm hiding nothing from them. I'm as transparent as I possibly can with them. They see the underlying, chassis. They understand the finances. They understand the marketing. They understand, what I'm doing to expand, blah, 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 blah. And they're offering me their advice based on the truth that I'm sharing with them. So my ability to share and communicate that truth in a meaningful, powerful way generates the objective advice I need in order to continue to excel. This is so so again, super important to be able for all of us to do, to be able to have objective advice, to be able to get that objective advice from people who have skills, talents, and abilities that are far above our own skills, talents, and abilities. That will help us to, again, reach places and spaces and develop opportunities for ourselves that aren't readily apparent, because people have eyes and ears and they can see and experience things. They have experiences that we haven't had. They go places that we haven't gone or don't know about, and they can expose us to those opportunities and give us objective advice on how to do it. One of the great examples I can give you of this is if you're going to attend a conference and you have a member of your Hero Council who's already going to be at that conference. Maybe that person is a speaker at that conference or a leader in that conference, and you're going to attend the conference. You get a chance to benefit from their experience and their connections by just having them introduce you to other people at the conference who they already know enough about you in order to make that introduction an effective introduction. It's different from saying that Johnny Joe, somebody over here, is a great guy versus saying that Johnny Joe is a superior quality mechanic and is one of the people that you can count on to offer you the best opportunities that you could possibly have if they ever get a chance to work with you, blah, 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 blah. And so that particular introduction means so much more than a person would have to, Google search who's a local mechanic who can help me with this particular thing, blah, 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 blah. Let me be putting off work that needs to be done on automobiles or cars because they can't find somebody who's credible, who's good enough, who they trust. And again, that extension of trust goes a long way about getting, again, objective advice, right? How do you get it? How do you get people to share with you the talent, the resources, the abilities that they have? And how do you get them to respect the talent, resources, and abilities that you have? And that's all about your communication strategy and how well you develop that. So we talked about, just to recap real quick, we talked about how developing a good communication strategy with your Hero Council can help you avail yourself of their expertise and their talents, right? And help you develop a more diverse perspective and maybe come up with some new innovation and creativity. And it can help you develop an objective advice that can help you, again, exploit opportunities. Another key idea about developing your communication strategy well with your Hero Council is that it helps you with risk management, right? I can't tell you how many times entrepreneurs and business leaders that I've worked with over the past have been saved by the people that they are closest to them in their advisory councils, their Hero Councils, that help them overcome what I call PESTLE risks. Now, what are PESTLE risks? PESTLE is the great acronym. It stands for political, economic, social, technological, legal, and eco risks, right? So economic risk and ecosystem risk, right? So there's different than economic risk. So when you think about PESTLE and that acronym, right, there are always macro level risks that we have to take in life. We have to take in life, we have to take it in business. There's a political risk. There are people that create the governing bodies and the governing opportunities in every industry and in every nation, right? These people can, through a stroke of a pen or a decision that they make in a group or a team, have a massive effect on how your business or how your industry is being associated with or dealt with, and you have no control over that. But now, if you have people who are at the table where those decisions are made, they can let you know that this is a debate right now in the local state assembly that we're talking about doing that can have a major effect on your business way before the issue actually happens. And so having people on your advisory council, on your Hero Council, who are politically astute in your industry specifically will be super, super smart and you super, super intelligent. I mean, what's going to happen with AI? What's going to happen with semiconductors? Or what's going to happen with the technology infrastructure in this country? And how's that going to affect every other industry and business? Having people that are around you who see the tea leaves and can read the tea leaves and see what the possible future might be can help you create the risk mitigation strategy you need to have in order to do that. Same thing for economically. Where are people going to be getting the jobs, and where are they going to be? Who are you going to be competing with to get the top talent employees a little later on, if you don't step up your game and create another strategy that's going to help your employees that you currently have stay with you, as well as recruit new employees in a way that's going to help your company remain stable and grow. You got to be, aware of these economic wins that are happening, right? And how is that affecting people? How are we being dealt with socially, right? People are realizing that, commuting 2 hours to work is not a good idea at any cost. No matter what, that's the benefit is in terms of the income is not worth it to the loss of their life to work 8 to 10 hours a day on a job and then commute 2 hours both ways. Last time I checked, that's 14 hours out of the house every day. And if you only have 24 hours, to sleep, eat, raise your children, do the things you need to do, take care of your families, like I said, it doesn't leave very much time, to make that happen on a day-to-day basis. And so you end up, having people who are never appreciated by their families, never really around to see that development happen, can't really help in the development or whatever. And so they isolate and they're alone, and it increases the health experience. The risk of their health decline is huge, right? So we're making different social decisions as a result of what the workplace today it needs to be about in order to be reflective of the kind of quality of lives that highly talented people want to live. And that's a cost that you need to understand in business, but you also have to have people, again, who let you see in your hero council that can help you go, okay, here are the risks that are coming up. Here are the things that people are doing. Are we going back to work full-time, full tilt without any of this video conferencing stuff? It's not going to happen. We're going to have a hybrid approach at best in most instances, right? So not learning how to get used to the technology is going to keep a lot of people out of the game and make it impossible for people to do. But the other risks are just as real. The technological risks of not understanding what the new technology is going to be, the legal risks of understanding, not knowing the laws that are coming down the pike that are going to be put together by your congressmen and your senators and your state legislatures, right? How they're going to affect you, not understanding the ecosystem and how things work together in order to accomplish the thing. So you don't understand the ecosystem. You got caught up in, for those of you people that were in the technology development business a few years ago, got caught up in the great semiconductor debacle when we couldn't negotiate well with China, and all of a sudden China started holding up how they were going to manufacture and ship semiconductors to the US. And that caused our auto prices to go through the roof. Not just auto prices, but everything involving technology, because guess what? Semiconductors are in everything, right? And so it holds memory and it holds power and it powers all our devices and everything that we need to do. And so if we don't have good semiconductors coming in, we can't create the tools, the things that we all love and enjoy, the automobiles, the car, the cell phones, the cell towers, the adaptive, technology of all type cannot be done without semiconductors. It just simply can't. And so, because we need the ways to move electricity from one node to another node. I'm not getting into the engineering talk for you guys because it's too boring even for me. But think about that. That's a risk. If you don't understand how the technology is going to change, how the legal stuff is going to change, how the ecosystem all comes together to make stuff happen, you're going to get caught up. The likelihood that you're going to get caught up and not prepared. But if you have a good hero council, they can prepare you. They can let you know, wait a minute, this is coming down the pike. This is a possibility that we need to protect you from. And so therefore, you need to have a war chest. All right, you need to change how you deal with your employees right now, because they're all going to be jumping ship if you don't make some shifts. These are things that are super, super important to your growth and your development of your industry, your business, your leadership, whether it's executive level leadership or personal leadership. It's all there. The last thing, and the most important thing, I can't say this enough. Yes, it's important that your communication strategy helps you to develop your expertise. And develop the expertise of others and avail yourself of the expertise of others. It's important that your communication strategy helps you build a more diverse perspective on how you get things done and where opportunities might lie for you. It's important that your communication strategy helps you to develop objective advice from your advisory council, your hero council, whatever you want to call it, and then also deal with the risk. But the final and the most important thing that I could tell you about developing a wonderful communication strategy is all about networking. Networking, 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 networking. I will say it from now until the time that I die. We are human beings. Human beings build trust with one another through communication, and it is that trust that allows them to move forward and grow and create and generate new opportunities, become a part of what my friend, Dr. Maulana Karenga would say is the forward flow of human history. You want to be a part of the growth of humanity, and you want to be a part of the success of humanity. You cannot do it without networking, without knowing how to develop relationships, how to build trust, how to examine and leverage that trust for new opportunities. We're going to talk a lot about that next week, about building trust and contextual understanding and alignment and all that kind of good stuff. How do you leverage the expertise of others? That's going to be next week's talk. But understanding, if you know how to network well, you will understand that your council members, your hero council members, are going to have connections with other industry leaders, potential clients, potential strategic partners, which they can then help you connect to in order to grow your enterprise, in order to grow your legacy, in order to create stability in your life and in your business. If you don't have an active, open, diverse, powerful network at your fingertips, you must build it. You must build it. You must start that process of building it today, because it's going to sustain your future. If you don't have it and you have to take huge steps back, and it causes you to have to reinvent yourself over and over and over again, and it takes you a long time to do that, you're not able to be resilient when you need to be resilient. You're not able to develop a true idea of what's going to happen moving ahead. Again, if you haven't done this, you're not able to protect yourself from all the things that could happen to you and your business that, again, you can't see without this diverse council of people working with you, right? Your networking strategy, your networking techniques are going to really, really matter. In fact, I wrote a program, again, that I will make available to you, and it's in the core documents of this particular training that I will release to you guys after we finish after a couple of weeks. We're going to be finished with this up. But the 9 steps to masterful professional relationship building is, I think, a masterstroke. You might, if you've seen the graphic that comes along with this program, you might have seen the 9 steps. And literally, it's a 9 steps. It's a ladder process from the beginning to the end, from the bottom to the top. And it's all about building higher and higher and higher levels of trust as you move up the ladder with people, first interpersonally, then to organizations, and then finally through institutionalized your strategies in a higher level world, that you can walk into the room and automatically have the trust of everybody in the room. That's the kind of networking that you have to be good at doing and being if you want to rise to the top of whatever industry, society, whatever. You have to be great at that. And there's no getting around it. There's no, I'm going to work my way to the top. No, you're not going to work your way to the top, because even if you get there, you can't stay. Relationships are the staying power to every level of success that you're going to get. In fact, they propel you to the next level, which creates a new level of staying power. I can't tell you, how much, our famous people in the universe get away with. I'm not talking about political stuff, or, I'm not talking about anybody specific, but just think about some of the things you've heard in the last few weeks that people have gotten away with just because they have the right connections and they're at the right levels and they're playing the game at a different level than you and I might be playing the games. They're able to make deals and negotiate opportunities that keep them playing. They keep them in the game where other people will go, wait a minute, you'd been under the jail for what you did if you tried that. Just think about it. What's creating that opportunity for them? What's keeping them alive? What's keeping them afloat? It's the network. It's the power of knowing the right people and being trusted by the right people. That's what really matters in everything that we all say and do. It's all about developing trust. It's all about developing trust at a high level. I can't even talk about this without talking about Stephen M.R. Covey Jr. All right. I call him Stephen Jimmy Jr. He's not Stephen Jr. He's Stephen M.R. Covey, but he's Stephen Covey's son, Dr. Stephen Covey, who passed away. But Stephen M.R. Covey wrote a book called The Speed of Trust. We can't even talk about trust without mentioning him. If you haven't read that book, if it's not on your shelf, I highly, highly encourage you. Don't just read it. I mean, consume it and read it over and over again. Dog ear it, highlight it, underline it, find spaces in your life, because this book can change your life. I know it's changed mine. I promise you it can change yours. There's other books that I'm going to mention a little later on that are super important when it comes to learning how to network. But just learning how to build trust and what trust is all about, the authoritative source for that, in my mind, is Stephen M.R. Covey, not Dr. Covey, Stephen M.R. Covey, which is his son. By now, I'm sure Stephen M.R. has got at least an honorary doctorate or two, but I'll let him explain that to you at some later date. Great talking to you guys. I had a good time. I hope you did. The show, again, like I said, has been pre-recorded. Hopefully you all have access to it, and I'll be able to put access to it in every place that I've already advertised this week's program. I look forward to talking to you guys next week. Oh, by the way, the reason why I recorded this is I'm going to be in a conference this weekend on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, and I'm also going to be attending a family funeral, and I just wanted to make sure you didn't suffer from my lack of ability to be there live. If you have posted your information in the chat, I really appreciate it. If you share this or a thumbs up or do whatever you need to do to share this content, make sure that other people take advantage of it. It is my gift, my blessing to be able to work with the many small women-owned and minority-owned businesses that I get a chance to have an impact to. And I see it as my calling in life. And so if you know a SWAM business owner or a leader that might need a coach, listen, do me a favor, have them reach out to me, have them get in contact with me. I'm going to put my information. Look at that. There's my information right there in front of the screen. And so all you got to do is have them reach out and call me. Let them know that they heard about me from you or on the show, whatever. I'll give them a discount. In fact, I'm running a promotion right now for the next 5 to 10 businesses that reach out to me that I contract. I'll give them 50% off of my normal coaching fee, which is significant. I have to tell you, I'm not cheap. I'm affordable, but I'm not cheap. And so, if you need some help, some people who need some help out there getting their act together and doing the right things for their business, that's me. That's my job. That's what I do. That's what I do exceptionally well. I feel like I'm gifted and called to do this. You know what they say about your gifts? Your gifts will make room for you. I'm prayerfully, looking forward to sharing my gift with as many entrepreneurs and small business and executive leaders as I possibly can. This is Coach Powell. Looking forward to hanging out with you, talking to you soon. I'll give you guys a report on what happens at the conference next week. Look forward to it. Bye-bye now. You all have a great day.